Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not with you, Shavuot. Our father, Bezrat Hashem, will be with us. So I thought, even though it's Parashat Naso, and there's no lack of things to discuss about Naso, but because Bezrat Hashem, I'll be with you on Shabbat Naso, we can talk about Naso on Naso. And instead, I want to give you a number of messages regarding Matan Torah, Kabbalat Torah, Erev Shavuot. We will, in about an hour and a half, count the Omer and fulfill that mitzvah from beginning to end. Today was 48, if you were confused at the number. The Gemara in Megillah Daf Vav begins, "Va'amar Rabbi Yitzchak, im amar lecha Adam," if a person says to you, "Yagati v'lo matzati," I tried and I didn't succeed, I didn't find, al ta'amin, don't believe him. Lo yagati v'matzati, I didn't try and I found, al ta'amin, don't believe him. Yagati v'matzati, I tried and I succeeded, I found, ta'amin, you should believe them. Hanimile b'divrei Torah, this is regarding divrei Torah. About b'masam matan siyata v'b'nashamaya, anything to do outside of Torah is all siyata d'shmaya. The world of Torah is dependent on our efforts. Pasuk in Dvarim Dalet Kaf Dalet, ki Hashem Elokecha ish ochla Elkan. God is a consuming fire. We don't know what she said. God is a consuming fire and a zealous God. Says the Katav Kabbalah, ויש מפרשים שרוצה לומר כמו שעיקר אחיזת האש היא בעצמיים הרכים. Fire spreads on soft material, בהנוחים, material that is easily consumed. והשחלל שלהם מרווחים, when they are very open, there is air inside. והאש באחיזתו אותם יכלה נוחותיהם. When the fire gets hold of a substance, it destroys the dew within it, and changes them to something else. The fire will spread very quickly into the vacuum. And a strong flame will come out with the pure air. And so it is. אחיזת השכינה האלוקית היא באנשים המאכלים תאוותיהם וגשמיותיהם. A person who is able to receive Torah, it will enable them to be rid of their desires and their physical being. והאש האלוקית ההיא תחליפם ויחלופו לעץ המלכי רוחני. And this holy Ash, this Ash HaTorah, will turn into a different spiritual reality. And that's what I found, says Kabbalah in earlier writings. Onam, however, what they did not explain in talking about Eish Ochla, a consuming fire, doesn't explain the verse that precedes it and the verse that follows. Therefore, in my opinion, the Kavanah to Akra Zeh L'Hodienu Sibat Meniat Avodat Elokim Ki Ha'elyon Yitbarach Rotzeh B'nei Adam V'chafez Lidbakam. God wants, desires human beings and yearns for them to cling to Him. Ki Yadanu Shehashpa'a Ha'elokit Tushpa' Al HaMekabel B'yoto B'madrega Yidua B'achana Yidua B'kabla. Any kind of religious influence is dependent on our preparedness to receive it. And if a person doesn't prepare themselves, lekabel hashefa hahu, to receive that divine, that divinity, hinehu hamoneh hatov ma'atzmo, then we are rejecting the good ourselves. שאם נגזר על איש על דרך משל שהשיחות תבואותיו בשנה זו והוא לא יפרוש ולא יזרע. If it was said of a man that he is going to have a good crop, but he's not going to plow and he's not going to sow, אף אם יבטיח השם מטרת עוזו על פני תבל ארצה לא תצליחנה תבואותיו. Even if God brings the heaviest of rain, the best weather, if a person doesn't plow the land and doesn't sow the seeds in the ground, I don't want, please, turn off. Okay, but only if you're writing the share, not showing things to later. Okay, so you can plow the land, but if you don't plow the land, if you don't sow the seeds in the land, it doesn't matter how good the weather is, there won't be a crop. Because you didn't plow and you didn't sow the seeds. And therefore I have denied myself the good because I wasn't prepared to receive. Because when God decrees good for a person, it's based on the person's abilities. ולזה נמנעה העמודה לכוכבים ולמזלות, כאין בידם להרע או להיטיב רק לפי מה שנגזר טבעם, לא מצד רצונם. העבודה זו I can't harm a person. אמנם ההשפעות המיום ממני ברכים מצד רצונו, but the השפעה that I get from הקדוש ברוך הוא depends on my רצון, on my will. שיש בידו לעשות דבר בהיפוכו ולעשות חסד חינם, אין שיהיה מקבל ראוי לכך או בלתי ראוי. God can do whatever he wants. It doesn't matter whether I'm worthy or not worthy, רק שיכין עצמו, but I have to be prepared לקבלה השפעה על ידי עבודה בתפילה. I have to be prepared. I have to be prepared to receive. Prepared to receive something, to והוא מגודל הפלגת חסד השם על ברואיו מאהבתו אותם להיותם יצורי כפיו. להשפיע בהם טובו בהיותם מוכנים לקבל. I'll prepare this is to be prepared לקבל. What did Nama say in the last year, right? You have to have like the first Shabbat we spoke about. Be ready to receive as opposed to be nothing will penetrate. To be ready to receive. מוכנים לקבל. וכבר ידבר המשורר בדבר מה מגודל אהבת השם לעובדיו, ואמר בשיר הקודש, שיר השירים, ושפע משפי אש, שאהבת ים מים רבים, לא יוכלו לכבות את האהבה. Nothing can extinguish the love between God and his people. הנה המשיל תוקף אהבה וגבורתו שבנו יברח לעבודיו לאש הבוער בלב איש. The love of God for his people, the love of the people for God is compared to a fire. A fire that is burning in the heart of a person, שאין בכוח שום דבר לבטלה, that no one or anything can annul. ומאש האהבה הזו אמר כאן כי השם אלוקים אש אוכלה. אמר שהאש האוכלת בדבר הוא לפי כמות הכנה, but as we said at the beginning, fire will only consume, it will only spread if what catches fire can receive the fire. If it's something that cannot be ignited, the fire will not be spread. לפי כמות הכנה הטבעית שבו אל קבלת האש, it's all to do with how much I am prepared. I'm open to receive, how much I'm open to hear. כי הדבר אשר בכוח טיבו הרבה חלקי אש פה אשר אפילו מתאחדת קל חיש מהירה, there are things that fire will catch on quickly. ובדבר שאין בכוח טיבו רק מעט חלקי האש, אין השווה להתחתת בכוח מהירה, but if I'm not receiving the ash, I'm not accepting the ash, it will not spread. ככה אהבתו יברך אל עובדיו להשפיעם מטובו ומחסדו הגדול, וכפי מה שהכינו נפשותם עד אל קבלת הטובה. The ability of Am Yisrael to receive Torah was different according to the person. Each person was on a different level in relation to how much they were prepared to receive, how much they wanted to let in. והנה מבחינה זו אין עבודה ראויה אלא אליו יתברך לא לזולת שהזהיר עליו במקרה שלפני זה. וניס עבודה זה משייך מהקדוש ברוך הוא. We'll turn over the page to Rav Hirsch. And why is this such a pertinent source on this Erev Shavuot? Rav Hirsch comments in Vayikra Kaf Gimel, ספירת העומר התלויה בו הן הקובעות את יום החג שבסיוון. Of all the chagim that we have in the Jewish calendar, the only chag that doesn't have a date is Shavuot. Shavuot doesn't have a date. Shavuot is 50 days after we came out of Egypt. Pesach has a date, Sukkot has a date, Rosh Hashanah has a date, Yom Kippur has a date, Chagei Drabanan have dates. There is no date. When say Tomer, Lo Yom Hitgalut Shel Yisrael, but what we are celebrating on Shavuot is not the revelation at Har Sinai, Ela Yom Siyum Shel HaSfira Shel Nikrato. It's the day when the Sfira ends. It's the 50th day. That is the day we celebrate. The 50th day from Pesach is the day that we celebrate. That is the shita that we received. So isn't that incredible? I don't know whether you even knew this. Chag HaShavuot is the day that we celebrate before Matan Torah. Matan Torah is the second day. We don't celebrate the second day in Israel, it's Israel time. Chag HaShavuot was the day before Shavuot. The Torah lo nitna b'yom ha'chamishim. The Torah was not given on the 50th day. Ela b'yom ha'chamishim ve'echad. On the 51st day the Torah was given. We counted 50 days and then the Torah was given. And so here we have learned an incredible truth, says Rav Hirsch. Chag Matan Torah, the Chag that we are about to celebrate, has got nothing to do with God giving the Torah. And so what is it a celebration of? Incredible. The Chag that we are celebrating is about our preparation to receive, permission to receive. That's what the Chag is. That's Pshat. It's about Kabbalah. It's about being prepared to receive, opening up, listening, hearing something, being prepared to receive Kabbalah. It's Kabbalat HaTorah. Hayom Shelifnei Matan Torah. Our celebration is the day before Matan Torah. Hayom Acharon LaHagbalah is the third day of separation or the Frishan. Hu HaMiyutzag Alidei Yom HaChamishim L'Sfirat Omer. It's the 50th day of the Omer. Hu Hayom Shebo Yisrael Hayu Muchanim. And that is the day the celebration is, because on that day we as a people were prepared Liyodam Hagadol, for our destiny. We were prepared for our destiny. So much of our lives is about what we're prepared for. Not what happens, what we're prepared for. Lekabel, to receive. As the Katav Kabbalah says, Velaseit et HaTorah. I've already mentioned this in a different place. Meshuneh Chag HaShavuot Mishar Kol HaChagim. Chag HaShavuot is different from all the other Chagim. It's not called. It's not based on the mitzvot of the day. It's based on the weeks that preceded. Shavuot. The weeks that preceded, that's what it's based on. Elahu karu Shavuot Hashem Hasira Hahachana Likrato. Everything. These are such. There's just not enough time. Even though I have a half a year with MTA, it's still going to be only a year, and a year is not enough time to share with you all that I have to share. But what a klal gadol. It's about us as individuals, our ability to receive, our willingness to receive. And isn't that an incredible comment by Rav Hirsch? The entire Chag of Shavuot is about our preparedness to receive, lekabel. You can't receive when you're on your phone. You can't receive when you're closing your eyes. You can receive if you open up and let things in. That's what Chag HaShavuot is. Matan Torah is the day after, but you can't have Matan Torah without Kabbalah. Like Ketav Kabbalah said, if I don't plow the field, if I don't sow the seeds, it doesn't matter how much rain falls, there will not be a crop. There cannot be a crop if I don't prepare. It can't be. You can have the greatest teachers on earth. You can cry when you leave that shiurim. But if you do not receive, it will just bounce off your heart. Hachana is a preparedness to receive. And sometimes you see it I had a student many years ago, many years ago, had a very hard life. And just before she left at the end of the year, I wanted to speak to her. I said to Yakira was the head shlicha. I said, I have to speak to her. And most times I spoke to this girl, she's tough, she's had a tough life. I felt like I was speaking to a wall, that everything I was saying was bouncing off back at me. It was the last conversation I had with her at the end of the year, and it was like the wall fell down in front of my face. Mamash, like the wall, like that, like move her hand down, and I could see the muscles in her face relax, then her eyes watered, and suddenly she was prepared to receive. Not for long. It wasn't for long. That's an incredible thing. If we're going to celebrate, we should know what we're celebrating. We're not celebrating God giving us the Torah, but God cannot give us the Torah. Even God cannot give us the Torah if we're not prepared to receive it. If we're not ready to receive it, it's a Kabbalah Torah. You have to be prepared to receive. Have a look at the Emek Davar, the Nesiv, and I would never have found this Nesiv if Rabbi Bernstein hadn't in a shir pointed me this way. It's in a Hakdama of the Nesiv. בעת עתה, הקדוש ברוך הוא מרבו קודש וביתו אשתה ישראל, הקדוש ברוך הוא is coming to give the Torah to Israel. הגביר כוח כל אחד מהעומדים לפני ההר. Everyone standing at Har Sinai is limited in a different way. גם בעמידתם סביב ההר, even when they're standing around the mountain, וכתכתיב בפרשת יתרו, והגברת את העם סביב לאמור. You have to, Moshe is told to put the people in different borderlines. It doesn't say limit the mountain, it says limit the people. So what's the perush? Besides the fact that Har Sinai is holy, they were told that they cannot ascend it. There were different limits for different people standing around Har Sinai. For example, the Kohanim, Hanigashim El Hashem, who go towards Hashem, they were nearer the mountain. And behind them were the princes of the people. The Hamon and the masses of Am Hashem were behind them. The women, the children, they were behind them. Have a look at Sefer Dvarim. I looked there, but this was enough. The Hagbala Hazot, listen carefully. Hagbala Hazot, please listen carefully. One more time. MTA many more times. One more time. Hagbala Hazot says in the Siv, Hayta lefi hasagat koach hakdusha shechala az b'shefa al kol echad, was relative to how much each person wanted to receive. People stood at Har Sinai on the madrega of what they were prepared to receive. It's Sid, it's Rav Hirsch, it's Ketav Kabbalah, they're all saying the same thing. If you go back to the front page for a minute, I titled it, Ein Hadavar Talui El Abi. The matter is entirely, as is all of our life, dependent on me, my preparedness, my willingness, how much. Everyone knows this. I think Now here in Israel, it's really Har Sinai. The first day is Kolot Uvrakim, and just like in Sefer Vayikra, a year in Israel is Sefer Vayikra. You've got to be careful that you don't do what they did in Bamidbar, Katinot Sheboreach Mibeit HaSefer, that you run away from the Midrashah like a child does from school. That's a critique of Am Yisrael. But this is also true. Kol echad mekaber lefi hasagat koach hakdusha shechala az b'shefa kol echad, according to the kedusha that each one of you has. No one was on an equal standing. Ela, listen, kafi al midatam kach hayta hasagatam. It depended where they stood. Where do you stand? Where are you? You have to know where you are before you move forward. Where are you? And how much are you prepared to receive? And that was their understanding of Hashem. You can understand anything if you are mukhan mekabel, if you are prepared to receive. Hashem is dependent on the koach of each and every individual. So I had this incredible numbers this morning. I have a group of 27 girls who average 92 on the test of Kol HaTorah Kula. That's pretty good. Pretty good. And that is totally, they came in. I don't think anyone came. Sometimes I get a student who's done the World Tanakh competition. I don't think anyone in my class did that this year. Oh, except for Rachel, of course, the poet. Yes. And people now, I could do it, I'm not going to do it. I could point at someone and say, this parak, and they will run off Prakim from Breshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, the whole of Torah Kula. They know what's in every parak. Why? Why do they know? Why do they know? Because they were prepared to kabel. Because they wanted to receive. And because they put their effort. And I'm sure there are other classes which are similar. This is just my class, it's the only class I do a testing, so it's the only class I can really measure. But each person has been at Har Sinai, and each person has received, but according to how much you were choresh, how much you plowed, and how much you sowed, and how many things say this, you signed in and stayed in. Signed in and stayed in means you're also honest. You signed in and stayed in and stayed and learned, and you're a and you see the fruits because you were choresh and you were so there. That is our celebration on Shavuot. How much a person is prepared to kabel. See Mesilat Yesharim. Ki ein divrei hachasidut b'nei hayra ve'avam tarat halev dvarim mutba'im ba'adam. Says Mesilat Yesharim in this Hakdama. Go back to that Hakdama, all the way back to that Hakdama. Said love of God, fear of God are not natural elements that are found in a person. That you don't need a medium with which to possess them. You will not find them like you find sleep, like you find waking hunger, satisfaction. All of the other natural realities that are inbred within us. Moving forward in Ahavat Hashem, Yirat Hashem, Avodat Hashem, Judaism means plowing and sowing. And if you don't plow and sow, don't blame your rabbi. Don't blame your school. Look in the mirror and blame yourself. If you do not plow and you do not sow, the only one you have to blame is yourself in anything that you do in life. If you do not do it, you put the effort, you will see results. But if you don't put the effort, don't wait for anyone. ולא ירצו גם כן מפסידים להם שהרחיקים מן האדם, ולא יחזרו דרכים להרחיקים מפסידיהם. אם כן, איך לא יצטרך להוציא זמן? How is it that you must spend time על העיון הזה? On this study of fear of God, love of God, relationship with God, real Judaism, not autopilot Judaism, which I pray that none of you will fall into, complacent Judaism, walking the walk, talking the talk, without an neshama. Just doing it. And then it means nothing. Says nothing. How can you do it without iyum? It's all upon us, it's all up to us. And now, more than ever before, for those of you who are not leaving yet, we have time. For those of you who are leaving for the first time in 99% of your life, it is entirely your responsibility. It always was, but now it really is. No one's going to wake you up. No one's going to ask you if you've done it. No one's going to check with you and to share. It's all yours. And it depends whether you want to plow and sow. That's our celebration. Is Am Yisrael will mekabel the Torah. Have a look at the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Daf Yud Zayin, a story that I'm sure you've heard before. Rabbi Eliezer ben Dordia, the son of Dordia, he was failing very badly. There wasn't a prostitute in the world that he hadn't visited. He heard of this famous prostitute on the other side of the world that took an immense amount of money. He took a sack full of money, and he passed over 7 rivers to go and find this lady. And in the middle of the act, Amra, she let out a gasp, and she said to him, just as I let the wind out of my mouth, and it will never come back, you, my client, you will never be accepted back into the fold of Judaism because of your behavior. And he was totally shocked by this comment. He went and sat between 2 mountains. And he said, mountains, pray to God to have mercy on me. Until we pray for you, we pray for ourselves. We're busy with our own sorrows. So then he turns and he says, Shamayim va'aretz bikshu alai rachamim. Heaven and earth, pray that God have mercy. We have to pray for ourselves. Shenema ki shamayim ka'ashanim lechu ba'aretz keveget tebaleh. Amar over the page. Chama ulevana bikshu alai rachamim. So the sun and the moon prayed for my mercy. Amru lo ad she'anu mevakshim alecha nevaksh al atzmeinu. We're too busy praying for our own mercy. So he said, he turns to the stars. Before we pray for you, we pray for ourselves. And then he says, Amar, I understand that if I do not help myself, no one will help me. He put his head between his knees, and he cried and cried. Until he died. And the Bakol came from heaven. You are invited to Chayei Olam Haba. The reason, the rationale, I cannot live my life depending on other people, that someone else is going to do it. I have to be Makabel, I have to be Zoreh, I have to be Choresh and Zoreh, Choresh and Zoreh. If I want something, I have to go get it. And if I'm not prepared to go get it, then I will not have it. I think the yeshiva that I went to, when I went to yeshiva, there were about 500 students in the yeshiva. And I think in the ranking system of the yeshiva, I was near number 500. I couldn't learn Gemara. We were learning the Darim. It's not a subject that is close to my heart. It wasn't at the time because I don't often make vows. So I wasn't so interested in how to relieve myself of vows and what a vow meant and what Lashon to use with a vow. I didn't understand the Aramaic, I didn't understand the concept, I didn't have Steinsalz, I didn't have Sosina, and I didn't know Latin anyway. I didn't have an old scroll because our scroll hadn't read Gemaras yet. Steinsalz hadn't read Gemaras yet. So I had to sit there with a dictionary opening every page. I went to yeshiva at the age of 18, and I could 17, and I couldn't learn a thing. I could learn that. But no one ever gave it to me. No one ever gave it to me. And I remember sitting in the hall when I was writing my smicha exams for 6 hours with the cream of Bachurei Yeshiva from Israel. And feeling a certain accomplishment, knowing where I've come from. Even the ability to sit there and write for 6 hours in Hebrew. But I know that it's something that I did because I wanted to do it. Harashti, Zarati, Harashti, Zarati. Ein hadavat al-yelabi. It's about me and my willingness to kabel. There are lots of shiurim on Shavuot night. What we really need to do on Shavuot night is the kabel. Not just to go to a shiur, but spend time this time in the Beit Midrash. Not just devouring the cakes that will be downstairs, but spend time in the Beit Midrash. Being Makabel. Makabel. So the day is about Kabbalah Torah. There cannot be Matan Torah if there's no Kabbalah. Kabbalah comes from you. So that was my first point. My second point, and currently be my final point. The Pasuk in Dvarim says regarding Matan Torah, Raki Shamer Lecha Ushmo Nafshecha Me'od. Be very, very careful. Petishkach et hadvarim, that you do not forget those things. Asher ra'u einecha, the things that you saw with your eyes. Ufen yasru milvadecha, and let nothing leave your heart. Kol yemei chayecha, all of your life. V'adatam levanecha v'livnei banecha, and tell your children and your children's children, Yom asher amadta lifnei Hashem Elokecha b'choref, the day that you stood at Choref. Join me with the Rambam in the Igeret Teiman. The Rambam writes, I'm telling you, the yogis, the community of Teiman in Yemen was in a terrible way. The Rambam wrote to them, the Rambam saved the community of Yemen, and that's why to this day, a Teimani only goes according to the Rambam. They only, all the halachas according to the Rambam. They're not Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Torah. Any Teimani, they Rambam. You have to strengthen yourselves. Different message. Strengthen one another, raise your voice באמונה שלא תיפול לעולם, that you will never fall ולא תשחט. והוא להודיע לרבים שהקדוש ברוך הוא אחד ולא כשאר אחדים, that God is one and not like others. ולהודיע שמשה הוא נביאו מדבר עמו, and to tell people that Moshe is the Navi. והוא אדון כל הנביאים, and he is the king of all נביאים. Our Torah was given in front of 600,000 men between 20 and 60, about 3 million people. It's not based on stories of one individual who says he walked on water or didn't walk on water, or another one who brought his donkey to the Kotel. That's about the only connection they have to Yerushalayim, despite what the United Nations may say. והוא שלם מכולם, והוא המשיג מהקדוש ברוך הוא מה שלא יהיה מכל הדין לא לפניו ולא לאחריו. ושספר תורה זה, this ספר תורה כולם מבראשית עד לעיני כל ישראל הוא דיבור מאת הבורא, God said it. שנאמר פה אל פה אדבר בו, ושאין להפר ולא לשנות, not to abandon, not to change, לא להוסיף, not to add, לא לגרוע, not to take off, subtract, ולא שלא תבוא את השם תורה זולתו, ולא סיבוי ולא עזרה, וכמו כן זכרו מעמד הר סיני, remember מעמד הר סיני. Ladies, you are 17, 18. I am telling you this Rambam. 19, 20, 25. sure Amir's mum must be on 25, 26 as well. We're probably the same age group. Thank you, I made a friend. I was walking with a student in Australia, Melbourne, many years ago. Melbourne girls smile at each other, nod, identity. I don't remember where I was walking, somewhere in Cowfield or Caulfield or somewhere there. And she said, Rob Nilsson, I have some bad news for you. I braced myself. And I said, okay, give it to me. If I told you her name, you would know who I was talking about. So I'm not going to tell you her name. So I said, give it to me. She said, you know, and she's like very nervous. She said, I want you to know that I don't think I'm going to make Aliyah. I was waiting for words, actually. I don't know what she was going to say. I'm a serial murderer. I don't know what she was going to say. She really built up the comment. I didn't know. Okay. Okay, that happens. Australia's a long way away, right? You have to dig to get here from Australia. And then she said something else. I got so upset. She said, anyway, I don't suppose what we did at the show was really true. And I was absolutely devastated. I want you to know, ladies, you will never in your lives have a truer experience than you've had this year. If you think the truth is in the streets of Manhattan, or in Golders Green, or in Glen Hazel, I said, what are you talking about? And where does this come from? What was she saying? I was so upset. And I related to this passage. You be careful, ladies, that you never forget what you have seen. Because you have seen truth. And there will be times in our life when we might question that, or we might not feel the way we feel at Ne'ilah or Yom Kippur when Rav James is saying of Yom Malkein. We might not feel like we feel at Mari Kohen, we might not feel as we did on the high points in Zerina or in Poland, or wherever it was, because life is ups and downs, like you just learned in Rabbi Huffman. So what is this year about? I'll summarize it in the following. It is a point of reference for the rest of your life. It is a Maren Makom. Sometimes we go places and we don't know. We lose our imun, we lose our belief. But if you've already been there, then you know that it exists, and you know that you can go back. And it takes hard work to go back. But if you've been there, if you've danced in the streets of Jerusalem, waving a flag with Am Yisrael, and danced at the Kotel as if you're fulfilling the words of a Navi, it's not a book that you're learning in high school anymore. It's real. It's a point of reference you have for the rest of your life. If you spend years and years of tefillot being born and losing connection, but then you've davened Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur in this room, and you know what davening can be. So even if you can't do that every week, even if you can't do that every year, but you know it's there, and if you know it's there, then you can get there, because you've been there. And if you've been there, you can get there. It exists, it's there. Pen tishkachu, you cannot forget, it's an Issur Torah. Pen tishkach et advarim asher ra'u einecha. You must not forget the things that you have seen. There will be challenges, and you will mix and you'll go out there into the unreal world. There's nothing real about it. There's nothing real about the sheker in New York. Al Jazeera, a terrorist from Al Jazeera was holding that lady in that house for 4 months. He's a terrorist, a press writer for Al Jazeera. That's the free press that the world listens to, and they give the numbers. That's the real world. Sheker! Sheker! This place is Emet. Now you can't stay here forever. You can't eat matzah all through the year. You can't live in a sukkah for the whole year. but it's in the Jewish calendar, and you refer back to it time and again. And whenever you have a weak point, you have something to refer back to. It's the greatest gift your parents could have given you, the opportunity to be, to experience, to see. And it connects to what we saw before. Some of you have seen more because some of you have been more makabel. Some of you have been more present. Some of you have seen less because you always had to have a piece of pizza or something. But everyone's seen. Everyone's seen something. Everyone's seen something. And now you mustn't forget. And it's a point of reference for your rest of your life. I have to tell you, you walk into my office on the Sivat Sion a number of years ago. Jeremy gave me this gift, a picture of my Rosh Yeshiva. I send something to the yeshiva. I don't want you to do that. That's not what we said. I said every single month we send to the yeshiva. Why? Because they gave me life. They gave me a derech. They gave me a point of reference. And every time I go back to the Beit Midrash of the yeshiva, it's like I never left. And I moved back 35 years. So that was great. And it's a point of reference. And when I can't daven because I can't concentrate, I go back to Baal Shem Tov, to a great time with Baal Shem Tov when my heart was open and I was just crying like a baby. And I have these points of reference all over my brain. And I know they exist because I was there. I was there, so I know they exist. And I know they exist, I can go there again and again and again and again. And so can you. Ein tishkach et ha'dvarim. This year should be the stone, the foundation stone in your Mishnah, not a photo album. It can't be a photo album. Ein tishkach et ha'dvarim. That you stood at Har Sinai. And the point is, not that we're nostalgic, oh, we stood there, wasn't it a wonderful event, but I was there, so it happened. If it happened, it exists. If it exists, I can go back. And sometimes it's hard to go back. Sometimes you've got to force yourself back. But we have girls who come back physically, and we have girls who are in touch all the time. When I was in Sydney last year, I met girls I've been in touch with for 20 years. For 20 years, there's one student in Sydney that I've been through a Sivat show 3 times when it was a Skype actually. 3 times. Learning every week. You've been there, you can go back. And then if it's another Bataluya, that'll be. But don't ever tell me that it isn't true. Whatever they say to you, all the cynics out there, all the faithful people, when you go back excited about Midrashah and the cynic turns around to, I was like that when I grew up. What they really mean to say is, I was like that and I failed. Don't fail. Don't fail. You don't have to keep saying, but keep it inside of you. And the days that you were at Sinai, that experience, every single one, it's unbelievable. You'll show a film, no doubt, so that Sivat Sion, and you'll suddenly take in how many things you have done here, or will do here. Despite there being a war on both borders. It's unbelievable, Siyata Bishmai. The only thing we cancelled all year was Sfat. It's the only thing. Unbelievable. Pentishkach, everyone, each person in their place, everything you went to, all the different things that you experienced. You can't forget it. But more than you can't forget it, I wrote as a title here, Mare Makom. It's a point of reference. I was there, I can go back. And when you're down, you get through it. And then you'll go up again, over the page. I actually want to give you a different source that isn't here. Well, see the Ramban at the beginning, because the Ramban only emphasized, or I'm using the Ramban to emphasize my words. HaKatuv said this pasuk Pen Tishkach Lefi Dati Mitzvat Lo Ta'aseh is a negative commandment. יסר פעמות כי כאשר מה שנזהר בכל מצוות ונשמע החוקים בשביל לעשותם חז"ל רק אני מעשי לך מאוד להישמר, לשמוע עצמך מאוד מאוד לזכור מאין באו אליך המצוות, know from where your mitzvot come. And I'm just transitioning that into know what you did and remember what happened and remember every minute and draw from it as you march forward. As you march forward. I totally resonates with me the idea that it should really be a year in Israel. It should be 4 or 5 years in Israel. Imagine that if you had 4 or 5 years of Rav Bailey teaching you Tanakh, imagine how much Tanakh you would know. 4 or 5 years of Rav Bailey teaching you philosophy. How much philosophy would you, how much more confused could you become? If you had 4 or 5 years of Rav Yonatan, 4 or 5 years of Rav Yoni, 4 or 5 years of Miriam Wall. Imagine, but we don't have a year, so we take what we have, we move forward. חזר ואמר רק אני מעשייך מאוד להישמר ולשמוע עצמך מאוד, לזכור מאין באו אליך מצוות שלא תשכח מעמד הר סיני. I'm not even being Dorish. If you're trying to work out what Har Sinai is, you have been on Har Sinai for a year. MTA, you've been on Har Sinai for a few months, you've still got a bit more time. Don't forget that you've been on Har Sinai. And when you leave Har Sinai, through the midbar of life, you take with it everything and all those memories which become working memories. And I want to leave you with one final comment of the Chidush Hayarim. All the way back to Chayei Sarah, Parshat Chayei Sarah. Rabbi Akiva היה יושב ודורש. Rabbi Akiva was giving a drasha. התחילו להתנמנם and people were falling asleep. Hard to imagine, right, that people would fall asleep in a drasha given by Rabbi Akiva. I think I would. I think my eyes might pop out, but I don't think I would. I'd like to sit there and go, well, that's Rabbi Akiva, that's Rabbi Akiva. I mean, I'd probably want a selfie, even though I don't do selfies, but if Rabbi Akiva was standing there saying, come on, let's do a selfie. And he'd say, Bikesh L'Oran, he wanted to awaken them, and he said, Ma ra'ata Esther imloch hakuf kaf zayin medina. How is it that Esther was a queen over 127 provinces? And the Midrash says, Tavor bat bita shel Sarah shehayta kuf kaf zayin shanim. The granddaughter, great-granddaughter of Sarah, who lived for 127 years, will reign over 127 provinces. And you look at that Midrash, it says the Chidush Hayarim, Gera Rebbe, what on earth are you talking about? And why would this wake people up from sleep? Esther reigned over 127 provinces because Sarah Imenu lived 127 years. We talked about it. The only thing they have in common is 127. אלא משום שראינו ששרה הייתה קכ"ז שנה, ועבור זה מלכה אסתר על קכ"ז מדינות. אם כן, so Peter Shem says what's really going on here is as follows. The people were asleep. They were sleeping through their lives. They weren't doing anything in their lives. There's nothing substantial in their lives. They're downloading films from Netflix and watching films about how other people live their lives instead of living their own lives. Rabbi Akiva wanted to wake them up. So he said 127 years of Sarah runs parallel to 127 provinces. That means a province equals a year. And if a province equals a year, that means a city equals a month. And if a city equals a month, it means a village equals a week. And if a village equals a week, it means a street equals a day. If a street equals a day, it means a house equals an hour. You don't destroy houses, don't destroy time. Time. I think people wanted to wake them up. They're sleeping in their lives, they're walking dead, they have no purpose, no direction. They're sleeping dead, and he said, you have to understand that time moves. I know you don't understand. I know the age to feel that everything kind of takes ages. Your first part of the year, every day was like a month. But I'm sure you can't believe that you're suddenly at the end of your year. And then today, you can't believe how quickly you're going to get there. Time is not on our side. I remember my year in Israel, I think it was yesterday. I don't feel any different in my mind. My body is slightly different, not fared so well. But in my mind, it's like I was there yesterday. I remember it like it was yesterday. And the time has just disappeared. So we have to be mekabel. We have to choresh and zoreh. We always have points of reference. And we have to use our time. A girl wrote to me once from Boston University. She said she has no time. She has no time to learn. She doesn't know what to do. So I wrote back, no Rahmanas on this occasion. So tell me, do you eat? Do you eat lunch every day? She said, yeah. Do you eat breakfast? Yeah. Do you eat supper? Yeah. You have time to eat, you have time to learn. You find time to learn. I learn before I eat. You find time to learn. There's 24 hours in a day. There is time. You don't have to surf every place on the internet. You don't have to chat on every chat. Twitter every Twitter, or X every X, or TikTok every TikTok. There is time. And the question is how we are using our time. So many messages, so many things to share. That even though I'll get a chance to speak to you on Shabbat, and Mesivat Siyum, I wanted to, just when it's us, without the looking eye of the teachers and my colleagues, just to thank you. I think that it's been an incredibly challenging year. It has nothing to do with you. And I think you have applied yourself in an unbelievable fashion. I will certainly miss you. I will walk around the baby drush, remembering where Farston sat. There's certain seats that I know are the seats when Anna sat. Anna Farston corner. I know that corner. There's certain corners in the room that I know. Where is that? I know the Anna corner. There's certain seats. I know the Akira corner. I know the corners. And I walk around and my people who sit opposite me, Douglas and Doug Full, Gefilter and Douglas Fishy, sitting opposite them and listening to their chavusas. Every so often, Burgers Bar coming to join us. Looking across at Meg and at the back of Forever Bar, Forever, not Ever Bar, Ever. Where's Ever? Ever Garbos, I mean. Eva Garbos. Where is Eva Garbos? There. And I know lots more seats. And after so much time together, it's very difficult to say goodbye. But very proud to see your achievements, what you've done. And so I want to give you a bracha. No, just me, not my bird. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bracha. And remember, as you're going into Shavuot, that Shavuot is about Kabbalah. An MTA, a message for you, which I gave these girls when MTA were leaving. Look and learn. Should look and learn. And I told these girls in the middle of the year when MTA left that they should look at MTA and see their accomplishments, and see what they did and how they used their time. And I don't know who listened and who didn't listen. I know what people did, but I don't know whether they listened to that in particular. And the great wake-up call of having a Mesivat Siyum in the middle of your year is that it gives you direction, focus. By the time you come back here in El, you will be the veterans of the Midrashah together with Shalabet. And you'll be in a different place altogether. Of course, you have to get through a couple of months with Bnei Akiva, but I'm sure you'll manage fine. And I'm sure they'll have a great program for you, and you'll start in Poland, so nothing can be better than that. So, I will give you a bracha. You should have a Chag Sameach. Chag, as we learn in Kitab Kabbalah in our Hirsch, it's about Kabbalah. It's about Kabbalah. And you know, ladies, even if we've not managed to fulfill our role, my rabbi always used to say, we have the truth. We just don't always know how to present it well. But there is nothing to compare between learning a Russian and the rubbish that Western culture has to offer. There is nothing. There's nothing. I've always had a Russian on my wall and not a Justin. So I'm going to give you a bracha. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha.